You know what they never talk about when they talk about climbing a mountain? They never talk about the view when you get to the top. I've spent a long time climbing this mountain. This view is worth the wait. I'd like to start out with a few thank yous. First and foremost, as in all things, I'd like to thank God. God has given me the abilities and the knowledge I needed to be able to stand before you today as the valedictorian of the class of 2022. He has guided me every step of the way throughout my life, and I have no doubt he will continue to do so for as long as I live. For that and many, many other things, I am grateful. Secondly, I'd like to thank my parents. I couldn't have asked for two better people to have raised me in the confusing times that we live in. Being brought up in a household with a foundation in faith is already more than a large number of people are blessed with. Being born into a family of two of the kindest, smartest, wisest, and most generous people I have ever known at its head is more than most people will ever dream of. I have been blessed with both. Despite my apparent ability and my potential, my parents never pushed me to achieve anything beyond my capabilities. Yet they still encouraged me to put forth 100% effort in everything I do. They helped me at every twist and turn on my way to becoming valedictorian, but never once made it into an expectation that I would get there. From the people who would be responsible for raising me, teaching me, and supporting me, I could not have asked for anything more. Mom and Dad, thank you. I'd like to thank my brother Logan. Logan, thank you for standing by my side. Even if maybe you didn't want to be at all of my baseball games, assemblies, banquets, and on down the list, you were always there to support me when the opportunity arose. For that and many other things, thank you. I'd like to thank my grandparents. Thank you for taking care of Logan and I while my parents were working, and thank you specifically to my grandfather for being my role model. I couldn't have asked for someone better to look up to and learn from than my valedictorian, Navy veteran, preacher grandfather. The number of lessons I've learned from you is beyond my ability to count, and I can count pretty high. I'd like to thank the administration of Shadyside High School, Mr. Pollock, Mr. Haswell, Mr. Treveri, Mr. Treadway, the school board, and all the others that keep the school running from the top down. Thank you to Senor Allender, Mr. Thornburg, Mrs. Hotlots, Miss McHugh, and all the other teachers for all the work you've put in to make sure that we learn as much as we can during our time here and are as ready as possible for the next phase of our lives, which, mind you, was not an easy task after getting hit with the COVID-19 pandemic and virtual school. Despite everything, you never gave up trying to teach us. There's one more faculty member I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank our band director, Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore hasn't been here for long, but he certainly made an impact in the short time he's been here thus far. I've never seen or heard of someone taking the reins of a dying program and then turning that program around in the way that this man has in just a little over a year. And this, having been only his first year on the job, things can only get better. Right, band? Mr. Moore, on behalf of myself, my classmates, our school, and the community at large, for everything you already have done and for all the things you will do in the future, thank you. One last thank you, then I promise I'll start my speech. Believe me, I don't want to be out in the heat any longer than you guys do. I'd like to thank my classmates. Our class has accomplished great things in our time here, in both athletics and academics. I think that success can be put into context very easily. To those who are unaware, which included me until just over a week ago, our school has won both the OVAC Class 2A Overall Championship Award for winning both the most OVAC championships in our division across all school sports, and the OVAC Class 2A Student Achievement Award for having the highest GPA for all students in our division. If a class can accomplish both of these things at the same time and not leave their mark on their school, then I don't know what it would take. Thank you to our athletes and to our scholars for everything you do to put our class on the map. Thank you to my friends and teammates. I promise you your support meant and still means more to me than I can express. Thank you for all standing together in the face of every trial and tribulation. We may not share all the same beliefs or values, but I truly believe there may be no other class that was more willing to put aside our differences and support each other in the midst of unprecedented times. For those of you who have been here with me since the beginning, thank you for sticking it out. For those of you who are just joining us now or have joined us along the way, thank you for deciding to take this journey with us. Our community, our school, and our class are glad you did. To each and every person sitting beside me, for everything that you do, thank you. All right, on with the show. I said at the beginning I'd been working towards this moment for a long time. That would probably lead you to believe I would have some idea of what I wanted to say when I got here. And you know what? I did. And then COVID happened. I have no clue what it was. So, I had to start from scratch. I thought to myself, what's something that I could talk about that encompasses all of our time here at Shadyside? As with most questions I asked myself, I believe that God guided me to the answer, and ultimately the topic I've chosen for today. I've come to believe there is one general theme that stands out above the rest as a description of what the class of 2022 was and is all about. And I will get to that in a minute. Because to get to that topic, we have to talk about something else first. We have to talk about something else that characterized our entire high school experience. We have to talk about obstacles. We have to talk about the roadblocks, the hurdles, and the setbacks we experienced throughout our journey. Having said that, I believe that only leaves us one place to start. I know I'm tired of talking about it too. But if you're asking about things that have acted as obstacles for our class on our way to being here today, then I'd be remiss in not at least mentioning COVID. The coronavirus put our world on notice. It nearly tore our country apart at the seams, and we're still seeing its effects in the political world and in many aspects of our lives to this day. For us, it was the thing standing between us and our education, our friends, and our normal high school lives that everyone seems to reminisce about after the fact. For many of us, isolation was a test of how you can deal with being away from the people you've built your life around to this point. For those of us trying to get everything out of our education that we could before we moved on to bigger and better things in our lives, virtual school was yet another roadblock. For all of us, COVID tested our beliefs, our faiths, and our ties to our friends, peers, and mentors. We've missed graduations, proms, concerts, entire athletic events, and more. I've seen the effect that this has had on people. We all have. Thankfully, our senior year has been relatively untouched by the pandemic. I wasn't expecting to be thankful for something as simple as being able to come to school, but here we are. Unfortunately, life isn't as simple as winning a battle. Life is a war. Life is full of conflict. We escaped the grasp of the pandemic ready to move on and out into the wider world. We are met with the threat of World War III. The state of the world and of our country is more uncertain than ever. On our local level, I've seen the stress of uncertain times get to people. I've seen moral, ethical, and political disagreements, or even misunderstandings and friendships between people that I expected to see standing here arm in arm today. I've seen people suffer through mental and emotional strain that no one should ever have to go through. The challenges that the world has put in front of us on our way to making it here today would be enough to wear people down, discourage them, and break the bonds with the people that they love. All right, Zump, that's all well and depressing. Why are you saying this? Shayside, let me ask you a question. When you look up here today to this group of men and women sitting beside me, do you see a group of worn down, discouraged, broken people? Class of 2022, let me ask you a question. Are we broken? Did we give up? No. No, we didn't. I said earlier there's one thing that encompasses our time here at Shadyside High School. The class of 2022 achieves in spite of adversity. Our class had every right to throw in the towel and write out our high school careers and then try to reset once we got out of here. Instead, we found our way around every roadblock, jumped over every hurdle, and pushed past every setback. We had every right to phone it in our senior year because of how much we struggled to keep up during COVID. But instead, we saw an opportunity that we could use to accomplish things that no one else has in the history of our school. You can't win championships or have the highest GPAs or win awards for art and for music if you give up and you let yourself become a victim of your own circumstance. Our class understood that. I truly believe no class has ever achieved as much as we have under circumstances as bad as ours. Now, having achieved everything that we could and then some, we're finally here. At the end of our long, long journey, I've seen many classes get to this point and find themselves exhausted and beaten, especially over the last couple of years. But when I look at this group of men and women sitting beside me, that's not what I see. What I see is a group of people who have reached the top of their mountains, who have achieved their goals and are ready to start their next climb. I see a group of people ready to tackle each and every obstacle that is put in their path. I see a group of people who have walked through the fire and come out stronger for it. I see a group of people who fought to achieve the impossible and won. We fought through adversity and hardships, the likes of which we haven't seen in decades, and we won. We fought for the sake of our teachers, our coaches, and our mentors who helped us along the way, and we won. We fought for our families who supported us and encouraged us to be our best selves, and we won. Class of 2022. Family, faculty, administration, underclassmen, and anyone else who may be listening to this, we've all fought our own battles. But now, as we stand here today, let me ask you a question. Who won? We won. Thank you, and God bless you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll go walk through the batteries, everybody.